happy to be here, but it would help our legacy a lot if we completed the mission and won the whole thing.
We never lost the faith, but you understood how long or how hard of a process it was going to be to climb the mountain again.
No one has proven they can beat us yet when we're whole, and that is still the case.
Can't wait to get insights from Anthony Slater. Now that the Warriors have an NBA Finals opponent, how did it hit you? The Celtics, they tried to give it away at the end, but hey, we get them next Thursday.
Yeah, this is kind of the third straight series where you're not necessarily overly impressed with the opponent from the previous series coming in to face the Warriors. Now, you could be impressed with what the Mavericks did to Phoenix, but it was a surprise that it was Dallas. And then go back to the Memphis series. Remember, they kind of struggled with Minnesota, and you maybe lost a little of their luster heading into the series. And I feel the same about Boston. I mean, to me, Boston defensively, and we can get into this, matches up about as good as anybody in basketball with what the Warriors do. But I wasn't like overly impressed with how much Boston struggled to put away Miami. I mean, you mentioned it. Jimmy Butler had a 3 with 20 seconds to go that would have put the Heat on top. I just cannot believe Miami was that close considering the state of their team.
Getting back to your first point to get into a little bit, is it the size and the physicality that jumps off with the Celtics coming in?
Youth, length, size, strength, two centers, right? Dallas didn't have rim protection. Maxi Kleber is their best shot blocker. And now you're facing Robert Williams, who might be, I'd say probably a top 5 shot blocker in the league. And then Al Horford, and Al Horford looked washed up and a little bit done last season. He basically was inactive for the Thunder. He's had a rejuvenation with Boston, and I thought he was awesome in that series. So you have those shot blockers inside. You have the defensive player of the year, Marcus Smart. Maybe that'll fire Draymond Green up, but the defensive player of the year who's going to be chasing Curry around, and then 2 big wings. And this is a league that is about big wings, and it's Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They were the number 1 defense in basketball overall in the season. And really, if you just look from January 1st on, when their season really took off, I mean, they were way better than anybody defensively. So it's going to be difficult for the Warriors to score, but it's also going to be difficult for Boston to score.
Would it be safe to say it's the Warriors' speed, finesse, the ability to go up tempo and score versus the half-court style physicality of the Celtics?
Well, I'd say this. The Celtics want the Warriors offense in the half court. That is where they are elite. I mean, any defense is better, with a set half court defense. But the problem for Boston is they're kind of turnover happy, and the Warriors are too. But Boston, you saw it in the Miami series. They were at their worst when they threw the ball around the gym a little bit. Jaylen Brown, very turnover prone. His dribbles still kind of a little bit sloppy. That's where maybe a Gary Payton's return, even Andre Iguodala, if you see him. You go back to the Boston game this regular season. Warriors won because Andre Iguodala got 2 strips on Jaylen Brown, when it mattered most. So if you turn them over, and Tatum can be turnover prone also. I think he might have had 7 in the Game 6 loss in Boston. Then you get out in transition. Then you get the threes. Then you kind of get the offense flowing, and you don't worry as much about the shot blockers. If the Warriors are playing slow and going against a set defense, it's just going to be difficult to generate enough great looks against that.
This is going to generate a few subplots. It's the return of Jaylen Brown, who played at Cal. The head coach was with USF for a cup of coffee. And then there is, of course, for the old timers, hey, this is the rematch of the 1964 NBA Finals when the Warriors were the San Francisco Warriors. So there's a few subplots there involved, I think.
Yeah, I do not remember that series. I got to be honest. But the Jaylen Brown one's interesting. I remember Steve Kerr talking about driving Jaylen Brown to games when Jaylen Brown was at Cal, because Jaylen Brown was like friends with his son, and Steve Kerr kind of has a Cal connection. So there's a little bit of that. Boston also, I will say, over the last decade or so, has in the regular season played the Warriors maybe better than anybody. I believe I saw a stat that in the Steve Kerr era, they're the only team that has a 500 or above record against the Warriors.
Well, that said, hey, we're going to let you go into your lab and crunch the numbers and to do what you do to come up with a great read for the Athletic Bay Area. Hey, thanks so much for a few minutes, and they'll roll the ball out there. Game 1 on Thursday, but I'll see you way before that.
Yeah, Media Day Wednesday, a big one, right?
Can't miss it. Hey, thanks again.
Yep, thanks for having me.